Okie dokie. Oh, hey, look at that. Looks like a threshold. Hmm, very nice. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bew's Backroom Guide. So happy to see you again, and so glad that we made it through level 0 together. Now we're on to level 1, and just to give a little bit of information at the start here before we get into the actual guide itself, level 1 is huge. Like, whereas level 0 is huge, but doesn't really have a lot in it, level 1 is huge, but has a ton in it. So, it's going to be a slightly different video than how I wanted to do it originally. I will fully admit, I recorded the whole thing going through everything on the page, and the entire video ended up being over an hour long. And I don't know if that's going to really tickle everybody's fancy. So, what I'm going to do here is there's two major parts to this. There's the story that goes on throughout level 1, and then there's the actual guide of level 1. I will be doing the story for level 1 in a separate video, but I will be making a very clear point of when I pick up these notes and other things. So just in case you wanted to do something crazy, like, have the story video going on, and then every time I pick up a note, like, you listen to the next part of the story, you can do so. But this video is primarily just for the guide itself to help us get through this level, teach us what's going on, and or otherwise. And plus, too, if you wanted to hear me yap for like a super duper long time, I stream all the time, so hey, pop on in. But enough self-promotion, otherwise, and everything. Let's go ahead and just get right on in to the actual level itself. So, level 1, the Habitable Zone. Survival difficulty class 1. Safe, secure, presence of anomalous resources, and a relatively minimal entity count. Good stuff. So, general information. Congratulations! If you're reading this, that means you've successfully escaped the yellow halls, and typically that is referred to as level 0 by other wanderers. As you have most likely read in the Manila room, which I will do a small video on that, but that is currently under rewrite, so I was waiting to see if anything would change. But hey, maybe look at some updated documentation on the Manila room soon. But in any case, you have unfortunately no-clipped into another realm known as the Backrooms. Thankfully, you have managed to leave level 0 and learned how to use no-clipping to your advantage. Following your no-clipping, you are now in level 1, the second level of the Backrooms, also nicknamed the Habitable Zone. This place, unlike the Yellow Halls, is much more complex and deadly, as it is home to various creatures and phenomena that you aren't used to yet. Fortunately, however, you will also find resources such as food and water, as well as settlements of people who will help you stay safe. This article will describe everything you need to know to survive here, as well as explain to you how to reach us. The following groups have helped write this article will actively help you if you encounter them here. Try finding them and looking for their logos. The Aranari Circle, the BNTG, the MEG, the Nomads, and the Speed No Clippers. Keep in mind that not all humans in the backrooms are friendly, so be wary of anything that moves, entity or not. You can find explanations and advice about both of them down below. Oh hey, and looky, we already found another note. Well, I will read over that soon. The halls. Right now, you are standing in the halls. They're wide, open areas with a consistent architecture of bland, discolored walls that stretch over for miles, with the occasional concrete pillars maintaining the structure's integrity. Many wanderers describe this place as an endless chimera between underground parking lot and abandoned warehouse. The description that might spark some familiarity for you. The halls of the habitable zone host two specific phenomena: the apparition of crates, being the only way to get resources, and the frequent flickering of the lights, creating small blackouts where anomalous wildlife of the level tend to come out. Both of those will be developed in the specific parts below. Cool beans. Alright, let's figure out how to navigate this place, huh? So on to navigation. The habitable zone is subject to what we call non-Euclidean geometry. This means that the distances you perceive are fabricated by your senses, and that your surroundings aren't what you think they look like. Examples of this include walking for a few dozen seconds, yet finding yourself where you thought the horizon was, or wandering around for several minutes to only realize you barely moved at all from your original location. There is a picture here of a table, which is apparently an excellent example of a landmark you can use for navigation. Thankfully, with that, uh, there is a way to navigate without relying on your deceiving senses. This involves your surroundings. So, first, try localizing a particular landmark, such as the table pictured above, at a reasonable distance. A colored pillar or an electric panel or something else will do as well, as long as it's something in the environment. Walk toward it carefully and never look away from it. If you don't appear to get any closer, that means the landmark is further away than you thought. In this case, look for another landmark and repeat the process. Because if you keep walking and it's not getting any closer, you are heading somewhere, but it's not where you want to go. This will allow you to always know where you are by using a reference point, helping you track where you are at all times. Once you start getting used to the anomalous environment, the need to rely on external objects will gradually fade away. Uh, and there's a footnote here of as the level layout isn't shifting over time, a trained individual can look around and deduce the real form of the non-Euclidean architecture, even if their senses remain misleading at first. This doesn't mean that you should take too much confidence so hastily either, though. Getting too self-assured is the number one cause of death among new wanderers. Distances that you see will always be artificial, so don't think you've mastered non-Euclidean exploration in only a few hours. Alright, on to the sectors. Now this is a big part, so we'll go ahead and get in it. As you start walking deeper into the level, you might notice some slight environmental changes. Pillars with different forms than before, walls featuring more decrepit colors. Those shifts in the landscape are tied to a partition of the level into similar yet distinct zones wanderers call sectors. You can think of them as subsections of the habitable zone, still a warehouse, but with some architectural differences between each. Why would we care about changes that are so subtle? The answer is simple. Thanks to their existence, groups have managed to name and locate several key areas of the level. This makes navigating the habitable zone a much easier experience, as using them allows anyone to figure out what part of level 1 they're in. Obviously, those sectors remain huge, so keep using landmarks for navigation. Alright, so on to the first one here. So we are currently, looks like, in the Aquila sector. So, with the Aquila sector, gray walls and flooring are with huge concrete pillars compose the Aquila sector, the most well-known part of the habitable zone. More reminiscent of a parking lot than a warehouse, and the blandness of the landscape is only interrupted by small pipes in the ceiling, leaking damp water on the floor that isn't safe for consumption. It is likely you're familiar with this environment already, since new wanderers usually no clip here from the Yellow Halls. Due to this, Meg has set their base alpha in this sector, allowing for patrols to find newcomers more easily. Said patrols are common, and as they actively look for new no-clipped wanderers to escort safely to the base. They are usually in teams of 4 to 5 people and can be recognized from afar by their bright lime yellow outfits and their eagle insignia. If you spot them, you can safely ask for help. So hey, that would be pretty nice to find someone from Meg right away. But on to this, let's see, we're in the Glid sector now? Okay. So it's a bit more colorful than the Aquila sector. The Glid sector features more lights and a more diverse architecture than other parts of level 1. Don't be fooled by this, however, as its structure remains just as non-Euclidean like the rest of the level. This area of the habitable zone is more akin to a warehouse and hosts more crates than any other discovered location in the level. Therefore, if by chance you do get to wander in this sector, make sure to gather some food and bottles while you can. There'll be more information on crates later on. Make sure to also gather some valuable items in case you manage to find Trader's Keep, the base of the Backrooms Non-Aligned Trading Group, or BNTG. Ooh, excuse me. That's some delicious floor water. And I know they said it was not good for you guys, but I've got a stomach of steel, so I'm sure I'll be fine. Since they don't shelter anyone for free, though, however, bartering will be your best chance to get home, even temporary, in the goods sector. This area is looking a little older here, huh? Now looks like we're in the Gothic sector? The Gothic sector gets its name from more curved architecture, with arches and circular pillars making up most of the area. It apparently hosts Hippocrates 1. The main settlement of Team Hippocrates is the Arani Circle. Seeking their base is advised, especially if you require medical aid, as biological research and medicine are the focus of the settlement. Their group mission is protecting wanderers will lead them to offer you a temporary home, although it can become permanent if you have the skills to work as a team. Nice. So, it's definitely another good option. The habitable zone so far doesn't really seem too bad. Oh, and this place looks a little dungy though. So, the Ouroboros sector. This sector is the smallest recorded as of yet, characterized by its perpetual state of construction. There are shadowy creatures in overalls that can be found within, all aimlessly repairing the structure of the place. So far, the progress has yet to be physically observed, despite the place being in this state for at least 2 decades. All the personnel is working while completely ignoring the presence of other biological life. This has led some accidents where wanderers report getting harmed due to the imperturbable work. Uh, it is therefore advised to stay away from them and their contraptions. Since there is no bases in this sector capable of helping wanderers, it is overall better to quickly find a way out. Since none of them answer any questions, let alone acknowledge human presence, their purpose remains unknown. Ooh, very spooky, very interesting. I am curious on what these shadowy creatures are, so if you want me to go sniffing around, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, on to the garden sector. Oh, this place looks nice. Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing wrong here. Oh, don't be fooled by the verdant colors and blooming life. Out of many parts of the habitable zone, the garden sector is one of the few that does not suit human life. Oh, well, thank goodness I'm a dog. Overgrown since the times unknown, the garden sector has a rather unusual effect on human life. Staying there for even an hour will start twisting you, progressively turning you into a plant like many others in the past. If you happen to find the entrance to the concrete garden, avoid it like the plague. It is far easier to deal with the non-Euclidean geometry and liminality than losing yourself to deadly nature. Fair, fair. Alright, and then on to the last sector here. It looks like this one's a little old. Smells a bit funny. Smells like my old home. Huh. Weird. The Backrooms is no stranger to change. Anyone with a working pair of eyes can tell you that. One needn't go further than taking a casual stroll through the perpetual streets of the endless city in order to find all of the appropriate evidence. What most individuals do not realize is that there are far more depth to the evolution of the backrooms than meets the eye. I don't blame them. The chance of surviving for a long enough period of time to witness it firsthand is incredibly small, and for the few that do try to understand this reality, they can only witness fixed versions of the past and the future, assuming they are only bursting in and out of existence. Yet, change is only one side of the equation in the endless cycle of liminal evolution we find ourselves in. With only half of the story, understanding the true scope of the situation is often missed. The Backrooms is a two-way street, one of change and one of stagnation. There is no better example of this than the fabled sector. Once a stronghold of human life, it was eventually lost to time. The endless shifting of the hallways manipulated the terrain in such a fashion that it is isolated to this area. 300 years ago, Level 1 bore the very same aesthetic of wood and vermilion. But as the era decayed, as the settlements fell, as we humans moved on, the backrooms moved with us. The comfortable, welcoming halls were sucked of their lifeblood in favor of the age of concrete pillars and rebar. That was until the fabled sector was rediscovered. With light shining down on its walls once more, it has been filled with a new purpose. Bright neon lights and colorful cables engulf the antique rooms in a zeitgeist of modern day, finally overwhelming the last few embers of the past. In decades from now, perhaps its history will fade, and the fabled sector will just be one of those mini warehouse halls that can be found down here. Change isn't constant, but it is inevitable. All we can do is adapt, following the backroom's own adjustments as it tries to match our own. Yet, the backroom changes will never forget what it was or what it could be. Maybe this fragment of the past will prevail, even twisted by technology, as one of the many remnants of the past that still exist within these many dimensions. Leo Costolos, curator of Level 222. Well, that's a very interesting section, huh? Oh, well, it looks like we're back in the Aquila sector, though. That was an interesting place. Looks like we have a little bit more information here from Meg as well. Now that you know how to wander around without losing yourself, try looking for signs of life. Groups usually patrol within the level to help people like you get to our bases safely. Knowing that, you can look out for the signs of our presence. Looks like we have a little footnote here, such as marks or signs, to find us more easily. Keep your eyes sharp and open at all times. And then how do we recognize those settlement landmarks? Hello, Wanderer. My name is Ale, and I'm a member of Team Compass's Point Meg. Today, Team Compass Point Meg. Sorry, I got a little mixed up there. I'm a dog. What can I say? Today, I'm going to explain to you how to easily find settlement landmarks in the wild. This place isn't called the Habitable Zone for nothing. It is actually hosting a lot of settlements made by people who banded together. If you find one, they will be able to help you recover from the harshness of the level and offer you a place to live in. But getting there is the hard part. As you probably figured out by now, level 1 is huge. Really huge. And while the sectors can help figure out where you are, it's not exactly going to indicate where the closest outpost is. So, to circumvent this, groups such as us put down several types of landmarks to guide you. They're pretty simple: a colorful piece of cloth, the group logo on it, or food, or almond water with a note tied to it. Giving a small personal footnote here, because we are skipping over the story, which would explain it a little bit. Almond water is sort of a cure-all in the back rooms. It's not necessarily food and water in one, but one bottle of almond water is roughly enough to sustain you for a day as far as your hydration needs go, along with healing minor injuries and filling your stomach a little bit too. So it's kind of the crazy resource, but one of these days I'll go into a deeper resource talk. But for now, on to the rest of this. Their vibrant colors of the landmarks will clash with the gray walls of the landscape, so look around for those. To make it even easier to find, they're usually put down near doors or on walls, sometimes hanging from neon lights too. Notes will often contain indications on how to find the settlement of group that makes the landmark, and use it to find them. So you can wait. You can also wait near it for someone to come, but as you'll learn later down the page, the flickering makes that pretty risky to stay in the halls for too long. So I'd advise you actively look for a settlement. If you take the contents of one of those landmarks, please take down the colored cloth, put it on the floor, and that will allow us to know the contents have been taken. We will refurnish it during a future patrol. Thank you for your cooperation, and good luck down here. And looks like we even have one more note. The corridors. Whatever sector you're in, it's safe to assume that you come across a single or double pushable doors, sometimes with an exit sign above them. While they won't make you leave the level, they will lead you to the second zone of level 1, the corridors. The tight and labyrinthian by nature, they form a sprawling complex of dimly lit concrete pathways that can go on for kilometers. Don't be scared to enter them though. They're actually far safer than the halls are. Indeed, as you will quickly realize, the structure of the corridors isn't anomalous, which means you can finally trust your senses again to navigate. But beware nonetheless, this complex is convoluted and it is still easy to lose yourself if you are not careful, so don't venture too deep if you can avoid it. If you have to, try finding a way to retrace your steps, for example, by using yarn balls as an R&R and to describe the picture on the page as well. Uh, Please, there's a sort of white hallway with a double door and looks like an old painting kind of just hanging out in it. Uh, Please note the presence of the painting oddly placed in the corner, right before the door leading to the halls. Like crates, they have a tendency to disappear when not looked at, just like many other things. Let's see. So, as for what the corridors hold within, you can compare them to cave systems back on Earth. They're safe from any hostile presence and offer great shelter for anyone looking to set up an encampment. However, they are also barren and lack resources at present. As such, make sure you gather everything you need before leaving the halls. Of course, the corridors aren't devoid of rooms, quite the opposite, in fact. However, much like the rest of the habitable zone, they are purposeless, devoid of sense and logic. And some examples of those rooms are small office rooms with an old computer, an office table dimly lit by a singular bulb hanging from the ceiling. Looks like we have a footnote here. Rarely, they can be more specialized type of computer, like Wayback Machines. Huh. We have no idea what Wayback Machines are, so we'll have to look into that in the future. Tight spaces with brick walls surrounding them. See the video below, we'll watch that. Large infirmaries with a single hospital bed at the center with some tables on the side, or rubber rooms with chairs in the middle of them, sometimes clipped into the floor, and even wide rooms with paintings on the walls and floors. There's an example of one of the purposeless rooms in here. It's just kind of like a small side closet with some old chairs and air conditioner parts inside of it. And now we'll watch this short little video here. I'll describe it as we go. Looks like we're turning. There's a nice little exit sign, single door here off in the corner. And we are opening the door now. Looks like I had a window, but it's blocked out. As we open the door, is about 1 foot deep and then entirely filled with brick. All the walls are brick inside of this closet. Amazing. Fun stuff. It was maybe perhaps too small for a good settlement, so hey, always try another door. Alright, and even with the absurd layout, those rooms are ideal spots to take a rest in. Their temperature fits human comfort, their enclosed nature allows for safe sleep, and you can claim one of them as your own for a night to get some well deserved rest, which will allow you to look for groups and everything more easily. So it looks like now we have some information from the RE Thread group. So, creating an encampment in the corridors. Congratulations on finding the corridors, Wanderer. As you read above, this place is much safer than the non Euclidean halls. Therefore, it is the best place to settle in for the night, quote unquote. Obviously, rest in such an inhospitable place is crucial in order to stay sane and efficient, allowing you to eventually find other people. However, not all rooms in the corridors are made equal, and some of the wildest backrooms tricks can be running here. So, compiled down below is a list of the most frequently asked questions by new wanderers wishing to survive by themselves and set up a camp. So I've seen a lot of different room sizes so far. Is there any one better than the rest? Well, picking the right room is obviously important. Too small and you won't be comfortable to lie down, or may even be a risk at your own campfire. Too large and you won't be able to escape the feeling of dread and anxiety in the halls. Usually the ideal size is somewhere around the size of a bedroom. How can I sleep in there? The best case scenario is if you manage to find a sleeping bag during your time in the halls. However, if you didn't get any, finding a room with a soft floor like rubber or carpet is your next best option. Using available furniture like a mattress or a sofa is also a possibility. Both of these cases aren't optimal, but they're most the most cozy that the level one can offer. Is it really impossible to find food in the corridors? No, if you didn't find anything to eat or drink in the halls, it is still, but still have to enter the corridors. Don't worry, while scarce, some can be found in the occasional furnished room. However, most of it will be either spoiled or infected. As a matter of safety, only consume what's protected within a bottle, a jar, or a can. Can I make a campfire here? Yeah, you can use planks you scavenge from crates to start a fire. However, keep in mind that not all rooms have air vents, and suffocating on your own smoke is still a possibility. So, please know that camping equipment like portable stoves can be found in crates if you do not wish to eat cold food. If there's a lock on my door, should I use it to be safe? No. Avoid using natural locks at all costs. They are subject to disappearing when looked at. This means you won't be able to open the door afterwards, exposing you to a long, agonizing death, trapped in what is meant to be a safe room. And what about the creatures? Entities don't tend to wander within the corridors. Nevertheless, taking precautions to avoid a surprise attack is always a good thing, such as barricading the door with furniture is usually enough to nullify a random intrusion. Avoid making too much noise during the flickering events. Can also help avoid potentially redirecting them to your location. And well, after all that, I had a good sleep. Now what? Abandoning your temporary camp is the best option. Make sure you retrace your steps to the entrance, and you'll get used to the corridors from there. Keep searching for us major groups and keep it up. You're getting closer every step. Good job. And oh, hey, another note. Okay, welcome to the Flickering. As we've heard a little bit about this is supposed to be the spooky time, so as its rather upfront name indicates, flickering refers to the random times when all natural lights of the habitable zone switch off, engulfing the level in complete darkness. But don't be fooled by the simplicity, however. Out of all the backrooms phenomena that you've come across so far, it might be one of the deadliest ones you can witness. So, before the start and for the duration of a flickering event cannot be predicted. As such, the random nature is known to stress wanderers as soon as they begin. Their innate fear of the dark is getting the better of them. You might think that this sudden anxiety is warranted, as the phenomenon renders the possibility of losing yourself much higher. However, while this is true, the lack of light itself is not the danger. Indeed, like an anomalous night, flickering allows for many creatures to come out and lurk, hunting for prey who cannot see them easily. No hall is safe during a flickering event, whatever the sector is. As such, as soon as one starts, you must enter a corridor section as fast as possible. There is a picture of a flickering event going on where it is more or less the regular halls, however, they are dark, completely almost pitch black. So, getting on to how we kind of survive this a little bit. First, locate the nearest corridor entrance by looking for a green exit sign faintly illuminating into the door below it. Do not use a light source to walk up to it. Becoming the only source of bright light in the area will lead you to a quick death. Instead, find a wall connecting to the door, then slowly fumble toward the small light. This will allow you to avoid getting lost in the non Euclidean architecture. And keep in mind, most entities have evolved to hear even the faintest of sounds. So, avoid running to your destination or making any loud noises. So, although the corridors are also dark during the event, entities very rarely wander there. Therefore, if you can find a room and stay till the lights come back on, you'll probably be safe. Also, it means you can probably use a light source in the corridors without having to worry. But still, my friends, the lights start to flicker, if everything goes dark. Stay quiet, get to the corridors, and we'll do our best to keep you safe. Oh, hey, another note. The reason the habitable zone is habitable. Crates. Now, this place wouldn't be a warehouse if it didn't host resources. Now that you've been wandering around for some time, maybe even survived a flickering event, it's safe to say that you've come across some of these featureless wooden boxes. Usually they're found on shelves or directly on the floor. These boxes are referred to as crates by wanderers and group members alike. While they look rather unassuming, they hold your only hope for survival: resources. Usually appearing behind your back, and the footnote says, with that in mind, remember to regularly watch behind you. Not only can you find crates behind you, but this also ensures an entity isn't sneaking up on you. Or, after a flickering event, virtually anything can be found within them. In fact, their existence alone makes it possible to set up bases in this level, therefore led to the level being named the Habitable Zone by the groups who set up here. It's worth noting that the crates can disappear once not looked at. As such, make sure you take everything you need before leaving one behind. A non-exhaustive list of useful objects to look for can be found below. And the picture itself is describing just the crates. They look like pretty general wooden shipping crates. You know, keep one side up, one side down, and overall, the random logos and writings can be found on them, but generally speaking, wooden box equal crate. So, crate objects, a guide by the BNTG Trading Group, I believe. Crates in the habitable zone are by nature diverse in content. In this guide, we will explain the kinds of objects that should be prioritized, as well as some general advice when collecting them. Avoiding danger. Crates hold many useful items, but they also contain some harmful ones. Chemicals, explosives, or even specific objects like glass shards or cubes of solid nitrogen. So, always be prepared when opening a crate. Collectors typically will wear gloves just to be safe, but the best tool is obviously patience. I understand you'll probably get excited to see food or almond water within them, but remember to always identify everything first before putting your hands on it. You never know when it turns out it's almond water that has a demon core top to it. Beware of being over encumbered. Chances are that you're going to find a lot of valuable objects inside those crates: food, tools, shiny things. However, remember not to be too greedy. Trust us, you can quickly become over encumbered, and if you take everything that was ever so slightly interesting, this can lead to a lack of walking progress, or even in worse scenarios, the impossibility of escaping from an entity. Your backpack or whatever bag you manage to find down here has limited space, so only take what you're sure will be useful to you. If you start thinking, but this could help me if I the only if overly specific situation happens, then it's probably a good sign you don't really need it. Pack up the essentials and what is generally useful for survival. Object priorities. You must be wondering, but what should I prioritize then? So, to this, I would answer the sooner you need it, the more important it is. The backrooms can be unforgiving, raising many challenges that you would need to overcome one by one. After answering your immediate needs, such as changing filthy clothes, drinking after a day without water, you can consider the following: food, almond water, cans and buy locals of food. Almond water is the main drink you'll find in the back rooms, and it's also one of the most important by a long shot. General cans or calories of food or things like that, whatever is safe, sealed, go for it. If it's open air, don't trust it. Warm and clean clothes. A sweatshirt, Christmas pullover, socks, ski pants, anything that can keep you warm but not interfere with your movements. An extra outfit if yours isn't practical or damaged, and a proper footwear since you'll be walking a lot. medical equipment such as bandages or gauze for potential injuries, and any antiseptics or other cleaning equipment such as soap or hand sanitizer. Uh, to avoid infection with the Staphylococcus liminalis or the crawler fungus. Don't those just sound lovely? Tools. So a knife or an axe often it would be very helpful to open some crates or doors. And the footnote says giving you material for barricades as well. So, scrapping wood. As well as can come in handy to scare away some smaller entities. The footnote says such as plague goblins. What is a plague goblin? I am learning many new things today. Fire starting supplies such as matches or a lighter can also allow you to warm your food up and yourself using planks from crates as firewood. Headlights or a flashlight to use in corridors, but remember, bright lights in the halls, not recommended, even during when the lights are on. So, entertainment. Yarn is pretty common in crates, so crochet can be a good way to relieve stress or even just generally throwing the ball around. Make sure you pick up a notepad and a pen. Write down who you are, what you're trying to do, and don't lose hope. This is a big one. It's a pretty small section of this, but I will genuinely tell you, in any of these kind of situations where you feel like you are about to lose yourself, stop. Center yourself. Remember who you are. Remember what you're trying to do. And remember, you can handle anything. Other items that are useful to use is a watch to help you keep track of time. Most Backrooms group use the Meg Standard Time or MST time zone, which is tied to the GMT time zone on Earth. Good to know. A phone charger, crucial, well, you'll be able to access the database at all times, and a sleeping bag. Although finding the right corridor room can circumvent this as well, but having a sleeping bag is never a bad thing. Backrooms objects. Now these are gonna get a little weird. So we have Frivio Jades, which can be used to detect entities close to you thanks to its reactive light. Squirt guns. Although unassuming, they can be a great ranged weapon with a lot of application depending on the liquid used within it, or warp berries that can serve as a way to escape certain death. Although the chemicals contained within can prevent you from leaving the newly entered level for a good while, depending on your metabolism, so they should be used only as a last resort. Huh, those are some interesting items. Might just have to do like a big item thing one of these days. Now, you should know everything that you need to know about crates. Remember that if you need it, we at the Trader's Keep can and will keep you safe from the wilderness if you can pay for our protection. So good luck out there, and we hope to see you in the guild sector. Oh boy, another note. Alright, and on to the section I feel like many people have been waiting for. Unlike the yellow, quiet halls that just play with your mind, Level 1 has physical entities that will more than likely be coming for your booty hole. So, let's talk about them now. The Backrooms isn't only made of anomalous landscapes, it is an ecosystem filled with unhinged creatures you've never seen before. Some of them are neutral toward humans, some of them can even be helpful, but most are predators. They represent an active, mobile threat that will get you if you're not careful. As stated previously, entities tend to hunt during flickering events, but this doesn't mean you won't find any of them when the lights are on. As such, stay aware of the moving presences around you at all times. This means looking around regularly, including the ceiling, the floor, as well as behind you. Entities all have different physical appearances and behaviors, so if you see a creature that you cannot identify from far away, refer to the general advice below and or check the table for more specific advice. Keep in mind the database has most of them in specific articles. So, the picture currently shown is that of a duller. A duller is one of the many humanoid entities that can be found with level 1. To describe the picture a little bit, it looks like a dark shadow with almost wires of its same being coming off of it, halfway in between and out of a wall. It does not appear to have any hands or feet and is mostly just a torso and limbs and a large blank head. Very terrifying. So, to do, avoid panicking at all costs. Being crippled by fear is common, but remember that as long as you're far away, you're typically safe. Silently go into a corridor to permanently lose them. They hate the corridors for whatever reason. If you can't see any exit signs, hide behind a pillar or a crate until you hear them leave. So, again though, when you're in the corridors, be careful. Find a room, get somewhere safe, play everything safe. If you need to leave quickly, retrace your steps from the previous landmarks that you have used for navigation to avoid getting lost. To avoid, if you see or hear the entity approaching, do not run. The non-Euclidean structure of the halls might bring you closer to the creature and get their attention faster. Do not use guns to harm the entity while far away. Although you might take down an entity, the noise will only bring more entities to you. Do not pick up a close fight with any entity either. Again, overconfidence is the most common death to cause for newcomers. And don't approach any single humanoid presence when you're not sure they're humans. Keep in mind that people will often wander in groups. But hey, you got me, and I may as well be a backroom entity all by myself. I can't say I would be able to take on any entity and survive. However, I do always come back. For whatever reason, I have super regeneration, I guess you could call it, as a doggo. So, while I might be down for a little while, I'll come hunting for you and make sure you're okay. Hopefully you're okay. Please be okay. Anyway, the common entity list. Arms. Singular, coming through vents, cracks during blackouts to catch wanderers. So, be very careful of sounds coming from behind you or above you when the lights are down. Flash the entity with your light if you hear one. They typically don't like the light very much, but they're little grabby grabbers, so be careful of those. Clumps. Piles of connected limbs rushing to their preys with high speed. Be wary of any walking sounds, avoid making noise yourself when near them, and keep in mind they possess no eyes, so it's kind of guessed that they determine things through sound, maybe smell, but in any case, stay quiet, let them pass. Crawlers. Pathogenic fungus that takes you over your mind after a short while. So, do drink, do not touch unsealed liquids to avoid infection, or interact with any infected beings. Scary thing about crawlers is they can be a lot of different things. So it's more of an additional threat on top. Think of the flood or zombies, basically. Except it can be applied to most things. Dullers, what we spoke about earlier. So, they're humanoid creatures ambushing wanderers by no-clipping through walls. Stay away from walls if you hear suspicious noise around you, such as grating or rustling sounds. So it seems like whenever they're traveling through these walls, they do make a lot of noise. So you can use that to be careful with. We have growlers, sentient creatures made of cables with high strength and low intelligence. So, throw heavy objects onto their head, and the footnote says, diverging cables coming out from a single part of their thorax. Gotcha. To disorient them, and then run away. If directly attacked, try ripping up cables from their head. So these are very interesting creatures. Be careful with those. Hounds. Humanoid dogs with animalistic behavior. If contact is unavoidable, intimidate by visual contact and noise. Otherwise, stay away from its path. It seems so familiar. I don't know why. Huh. Anyway. Nigrothesur. Insectoid entities found on the ceiling near ball-like webs. Avoid walking below their webs, even if it means going back from where you came from. Now, I don't know a lot about that, but with a name like that, that sounds pretty terrifying. Skin sealers. White humanoid creatures wearing the skin of their previous victims as a disguise, usually attacking after a long enough interaction with the Wanderer. Try discussing with them as they possess low intelligence. As soon as you can confirm they're not human, back away calmly. These guys are pretty tricky, so be mindful of them. Smilers. Bright, animalistic faces attracted by light and noise once they have spotted their prey. Stay calm, switch off, or throw away your light as bait. These guys are also pretty scary, and they're pretty quick if they see you and they want you. So, you know, don't worry, I'll keep an eye out. Wranglers. Huge, snake-like creatures that burrow through the walls, hypnotizing wanderers with their body. If you feel or hear the walls, ceilings vibrate, leave the area quickly and quietly. These guys are powerful, and they're big. You don't want to mess with them. Finally, we have wretches. Aggressive, undead humanoids with low intelligence. Keep in mind, those creatures are no longer human. Do not attempt to interact with them, even if you can understand their voice. Again, with these entities in the back rooms, be careful. A lot of them will try to trick you. A lot of them will be traveling alone, is the other thing. In the back rooms, if it's one thing, it's very scary. If it's two things, it's possibly scarier. If it's three things, it might be human. Because at that point, typically entities don't travel together. That's one thing I've noticed. If there are specific entities that do travel together, then they would typically be noted. But a lot of creatures won't travel in large groups. So, the larger the group, typically the safer it is. Anyway, another note. Bases, outposts, and communities. Man, finally, we're finding some places. I went through some corridors, but I only found empty places. I haven't found anyone yet. But that's okay. I know you will. Anyway, settlements represent your own of long-term survival in the back rooms, granting you a place to eat and sleep in with other people. Thankfully for you, Level 1 is one of the more populated pocket dimensions down here, meaning you will eventually find human presence. Most of them are small encampments, with either in the halls or the corridors, usually made out of tents or makeshift huts by a dozen of wanderers at most. However, the immensity of the habitable zone didn't stop humans from creating much larger bases over time, sometimes even developing into full-blown factions, spanning several levels. Whether small or big, not all these settlements are friendly to you. However, Level 1 is so big and the encampments are so separated that this place remains mostly rule-free. Nevertheless, be wary of humans as much as you watch out for anomalous creatures, as our species can be just, if not more monstrous than the entities that are in the place with these scarce resources. There is a picture of the inside of a tent. It's just kind of very rudimentary. There's a fan and some basic beds. Just something to kind of double check over people. Now we have a non-exhaustive list of relevant bases, outposts, and other social points within the habitable zone, which can be found below. Keep in mind that hundreds of small to medium encampments are also estimated to exist out there, although giving precise numbers is pretty much impossible. So for the first one we have Meg Base Alpha. Base Alpha is the oldest and second biggest settlement of the Meg group. Well, in the Major Explorer group. If you call it Meg group, then you're saying Major Explorer group. So please, yeah, well, we're just gonna call them Meg. dedicated to the training of new members as well as exploration, present in the Aquila sector. It can offer you a safe place to eat and sleep in if you're interested in helping explore and study the backrooms in return. More akin to a town than a settlement, Base Alpha has grown so much within these corridors that it is now completely unrecognizable from the encampment it was many years ago. If you do not wish to risk yourself on deeper levels yet, this will be your best opportunity for a front rooms like life. If you are interested in venturing, however, Base Alpha is also dedicated to exploration, often training new operatives to work in other bases or in small outposts on deeper levels, finding and understanding these levels to one day find an exit that has been Meg's core mission since the inception of it. As such, they will be more than willing to give newcomers like you the keys to help them reach this goal. To read more about it, we have a specific article. Cool. So, Meg is pretty nice. They're really just here to help people and to explore and find a way out. Next, we have the BNTG. They are located at Trader's Keep. Thanks to their neutrality and their equipment, the Trader's Keep has quickly grown in prestige since its creation in 2016. Unlike Meg, the Backrooms non-aligned trade group is made of merchants and mercenaries. As such, they are more interested in payment or bartering than recruiting and training. However, if you can pay their price and are interested in their vision, Traders Keep is a great place to settle in. Indeed, their influence over the guild sector allows them to offer a much better quality of life and security than most of their factions. It is also worth noting that Traders Keep contains the Traders Vault, the largest known BNTG stocking facility. This allows the group to regularly furnish his base, such as office space, Ella, with resources to sell thanks to their efficient web of interconnected trading routes. Cool beans. So, you need some goodies, head on over to BNTG. The Arani Circle. Hippocrates 1. Hippocrates 1 is the first and main base of Team Hippocrates of the Anarani Circle. Created far before the bigger factions was formed, the base is mainly centered around biological and entity research, a mission that has led the team to work closely with the leaders in their time, as well as the Meg. As such, it is mainly thanks to them that most of the anomalous wildlife in the habitable zone has been documented for wanderer safety. Although secondary, their healthcare mission is something that they take very seriously. As such, they regularly form external agents, as well as provide medical equipment and personnel to other groups in exchange for resources. The medical care they provide directly at their base to ill or injured wanderers is free. However, as their mission remains making the backrooms a safer place. Most of the members of Hippocrates 1 speak English or Hoofish. Hoofish is a language that has been developed in the backrooms, apparently originating from the Lost. More things to look into. Also, in addition to French. So, do not hesitate to reach out to them if you happen to be in the Gothic sector. Camp Amber. Update. Since 2013, Camp Ember has left the habitable zone and now is residing within the hub. Historically, the Backrooms have always had one huge multicultural faction, aiming at protecting wanderers. Yet, empires rise and fall, and the leaders, the biggest group of the second half of the 20th century, was no exception. When they got destroyed in 1997, wanderer safety plummeted as a result, especially in Level 1, a realm hosting many clueless newcomers. As such, Camp Amber was created around the state. Nomadic in nature, they used to travel between sectors to educate newcomers about the backrooms and its dangers, usually located near exits from Level 1 or Level 0. They helped countless wanderers by giving them advice and training them for their new life. Following the creation of Base Alpha in 2012, a far more welcoming place for a group that was already growing fast, Camp Amber left the Level 1 a year later, relocating their activities to the Hub, a safe highway level where new wanderers are also present. Cool, cool. So it seems like there's definitely some extra lore here with the leaders, so we might have to look into that at some point. The Eyes of Argos, Cornucopia. Malicious and cruel people, capable of the most deplorable of crimes. With the habitable zone's constant influx of newcomers and the barren nature of the place, they are a grim reality within Level and have been for centuries. In the past, back when this place resembled a merchant site, Cornucopia was providing resources to the other settlements of the Eyes of Argos. Now that the Enclave occupies this purpose, the role of Cornucopia has shifted to punish the ever flowing sinners so as to keep the second most populated Backrooms level peaceful. This base has evolved across the ages, but its nature as headquarters for the Justice Seekers has remained. These soldiers tirelessly patrol the habitable zone, looking for sinners to punish in their everlasting mission. If you have nothing to hide, you should be safe from their wrath. Nevertheless, contact with them is ill advised, as their definition of justice can vary from team to team. Remember that sometimes humans can be more dangerous than entities, especially when they seem to serve justice. Be careful. The speed no clippers. Time to speed run the back rooms. Let's go. Let's do it. Registration spots. Unlike most of the other factions, the Speed No Clippers have no permanent basis, as their name represents more of a way of life than a united group. However, even if plenty of communities and online forums have different lifestyles, most still recruit new members through the temporary setup of registration spots, such as in the Habitable Zone. Registration spots are usually simple in nature, ranging from makeshift wooden booths to tents. There are some speed no clippers that will be available to put in interested newcomers to the test. Even if a life of thrill and travels doesn't interest you, these spots are great places to learn about controlled no clipping and how to perform them, which is a useful skill to have in times of need. The speakers can also bring you to nearby settlements and allow you to rest for some time. So, see if you see someone, if you might get lucky, and you see a random person running through level 1 and be like, "Hey, help!" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm an actual human." But again, that could also be a skin stealer, so be careful. And finally, Tom's Diner. Tom's Diner is the biggest restaurant and social hub in the Habitable Zone, run by Tomasio Espitoso, better known as Tom, an Italiano-American chef, and his co-worker, Akio Sato. Although it is started as a simple food stall, his work quickly gained popularity thanks to his meal quality, as well as his overall optimistic and lighthearted personality. Over the years, the area developed into a complete diner. Most of the backrooms groups use bartering as a money system, and Tom's Diner is no exception. A meal will cost you different resources depending on how elaborate it is. In addition, it's also common for people to bring their own ingredients to the diner, as a way to both reduce the price and furnish the place for future meals. Due to its renown, Tom's Diner has quickly grown into the biggest social place in the habitable zone. Whether you're looking for new friends or travel companions, or just wish to spend some time resting to the sound of different artists making concerts here, the diner is your best bet to find people. Oh, hey, and it looks like one more note. All right, my dear friends, on to the last section we have here, the entrances and the exits. So, level 1 is just the beginning. The Backrooms is made of hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions to infinite other pocket dimensions. There are some sharing thresholds with the habitable zone, and below can be found a list of the known thresholds leading away into here. Keep in mind, the list isn't exhaustive. As new levels are constantly being discovered, links between them can also appear and disappear over time. So, most levels accessing to or being accessible from anywhere have been omitted for simplicity. So far, the only entrance to the habitable zone you know of is level 0. However, there are many more that have been discovered over the decades. So, we're going to go through all of them here in this final section. So, doors. Most of them take place in the form of a door to another level. As such, simply opening them and going through the threshold leads to level 1. Certain random doors on 4.2, some building entrances on level 11, the door on level 12, following a specific course of action, rusted metal doors on level 40, sandstone doors on level 46, certain doors on 54, office doors on office space in 162, doors leading to noteworthy buildings in 215, certain doors connected to a building on 330, cardboard doors on 409, and either door of the room on 726. Man, a lot of interesting entrances we can get here. Smooth thresholds. Some of the other entrances are smoother, which means there are just gradual changes in the environment. In such cases, walking far enough into a specific section of the level can lead to level 1. Examples include going to the blander corridors of level 2, following the concrete halls or corridors that get progressively less glitchy from level 38, or using the flight of stairs or an elevator on 141. By no clipping, this is similar to kind of how you fell through level 0. You can end up by no clipping through a wall on 0.1, touching or no clipping with a majority of objects in VP3 on level 84, no clipping through concrete walls in 128, no clipping through any platform secondary wall that recedes on 162, no clipping through the floor on the lounges of 283, performing the controlled no clip of the walls of the main halls of 294. It's also worth noting that no clipping doesn't only happen when going through a surface. Interacting with certain elements can also force a no clip by sucking the wanderer in. Using a keycard on the screen displaying level 1 in the surveillance room. Opening a supply crate with a red number 1 in level 58. Eating a ham croissant on level 304, or no clipping into a tree on level 305, touching any green shape on level 322, touching a mirror on 365, or by finding the sales floor and acquiring 2 bottles of almond water on 852. Alright, and finally, we have some subsections here. So some areas of the habitable zone are considered big and important enough to be classified as subsections. So they can be considered other sectors as well. As of today, we have 4 of them. So 1.1, the corrupted corridor, 1.2, the concrete canyon, level squared, I think that is. I might be wrong, but there's no name. And then level 1.5, inverted. Very interesting, very mysterious. If there's any of these ones in particular that you would like me to investigate, let me know. Alright, and so finally on to pretty much the last section here, exits. Level 2 is also nicknamed the Abandoned Utility Halls. It is the most common exit you will ever come across here. It is part of the main 12, and the footnote says, this term is used to present an assortment of levels from 0 to 11 that possess far more links between them than any other, which grants them a certain linearity. This is why new wanderers usually get from level 0 to level 1 rather than finding other rare exits. This is also true between level 1, 2, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. The threshold from level 1 to level 2 is a smooth one, meaning simply walking far enough in a direction with pipes and dials gradually appearing will make you enter the abandoned utility halls. Since the habitable zone is one of the most populated levels, a high number of other exits from it have been listed over the decades. However, not all of them can be seen with the naked eye. Some surfaces or walls can lead you to a whole different place on complete accident. So, to avoid being disoriented or lost after an accidental no-clip, remember, use the clip protocol as soon as you enter a level. And it's like a retro design of everything explained below, basically. The clip protocol explained. The Backrooms is a reckless and illogical space. Many things can happen to you as soon as you enter a new level, with no clippable sources usually invisible. It's not uncommon for someone to enter a new level they've never heard of before and be completely lost of what to do to leave it. As such, if you ever find yourself in a place you do not recognize, using the clip protocol will help you avoid potential danger and prepare yourself to explore. C. Check your environment. Verify the presence of potential threats as well as identify the architecture around you. L. Locate the exit, such as no clipping back, finding a door, window, or any potential threshold. Inspect the database, using all the information you collected to find which level you're in, which potential exit is safe to take. P. Prepare your equipment by taking the relevant objects like a weapon, a flashlight, or changing clothes as needed. And the second P. Perimeter. Your environment, setting up a temporary safe zone. If you wish to find more information about the protocol, then the Iranian article has a better one. But with that, good luck and getting randomly teleported from the Iranian circle. Thanks, guys. Alright, with that in mind, here are the known exits from the habitable zone. Like the level 1 entrances, most way exits take form of a door. Glass doors will lead to level 22. Doors with unique symbols at the end of corridors with fluorescent lights may lead to level 154. Ice-coated metal doors will lead to 159. Bunker doors will lead to 218. Wooden door with a nonsensical locations. Wooden doors in nonsensical locations will lead to 389. Metal double doors that resemble those of lifts of elevators will lead to a staircase going to 998. Plain white wooden doors will lead to 998.2, and specific sequences of doors and halls can take the wanderer to the hub. Smooth thresholds. Climbing up into holes in the ceiling will lead to level 19. Walking in a corridor and getting that gets gradually more and more glitchy will lead to level 38. Breaches in some walls displaying the exterior will lead to level 128. Speaking the name of level, uh, I will just read this out. BHZSMZUY in any language involving the Latin alphabet in an intelligible manner will open a threshold to that level. And going into an open ventilation duct will lead to level 800. No clipping is equally as common, as noted before, can occur by complete accident. The entrance to level 24 is being kept secret by the BNTG, but is rumored to be a painting of the moon, like this one on level 57. No clipping through some walls can lead to levels 128, the great outdoors. Using a VHS tape labeled Mach Plus will make you no clip into the TV and reach level 201. No clipping into a dead tree will lead to level 305. Going through painting a jester-looking character will lead you to level 389, the gaming hall. Landmarks that are part of the Pilgrim's Path can no-clip you when touched, going to another level with a landmark. Continuing to do so will eventually lead you to level 710, Ring and Ruins. Clipping through a crate containing scrap metal will lead you to level 817, the Scrapyard. And finally, the subsections. So just similarly, it's 1.1, 1.2, squared, and 1.5. All very interesting. Wowie. Well, that was a level and a half, my friends. If you watched this entire video and stayed for the whole thing through, genuinely thank you so much. You don't even know how much I appreciate that. I'm gonna get a little closer here. I hope you don't mind. But I really do appreciate you for watching this video. I'm planning on doing more. If there's anything specific, any levels, any items, any random knowledge that you want me to look over, let me know. I'll have a gander at it. See if we can't put a video up about that. Also, too, it's just kind of weird, I haven't found anyone back here yet. It's almost like people are avoiding me. I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to pay attention to a dog in the back rooms, but hey, that's alright. In any case, my friends, again, the note video will be up along with this, hopefully a little bit after it, maybe we'll see. But in any case, enough of me stumbling over my words and saying in any case like 15 billion times. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you again, and ta-ta!